Why narcissists can't manipulate you anymore. Carl Jung's truth. About empath power. What if I told you that Carl Jung uncovered a psychological mechanism so powerful that once you grasp it, narcissists will no longer be able to manipulate you ever again? And what if I told you that the very thing that made you most vulnerable to narcissists, your empathy, is also your greatest weapon against them? Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you'll understand why empaths who apply this one Jungian principle become immune to manipulation for life. Let's start with something that might blow your mind. Carl Jung said, "Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves." But here's the twist. When empaths truly understand this principle, they don't become like narcissists. They become completely untouchable by them. How is that even possible? Keep watching, because what you're about to learn will forever shift how you deal with toxic people. If you're an empath, you already know the pattern. You give and give until you're completely depleted. You attract narcissists like metal to a magnet. They find you in every relationship, job, and social group. And you've probably asked yourself, why me? Why do I keep attracting these types? Here's the truth. There is nothing wrong with you. Carl Jung believed that empaths carry one of the most powerful psychological gifts of all: deep emotional attunement. The ability to sense, feel, and understand the emotions of others. But, and this is crucial, this gift becomes a curse when it is disconnected from the shadow. Here's what most people get wrong about the shadow. It's not just your darkness. Jung taught that the shadow is also your unlived potential. And for empaths, that means one specific shadow element: your power. Empaths are often taught from childhood that their sensitivity is a flaw, that emotional intelligence is weak, that needing peace makes you a pushover. Jung believed this creates what he called a shadow projection, where the empath unknowingly projects their own disowned strength onto others, especially narcissists. Narcissists appear confident, bold, and unapologetic. They look like everything the empath believes they're not. But here's where things get fascinating. Carl Jung discovered that narcissists and empaths are two sides of the same coin. Both are dealing with the same root issue, a fracture from their authentic self. The difference lies in how each copes. The narcissist overcompensates. They inflate a false self, wearing a grandiose mask. The empath implodes. They become self-sacrificing, always prioritizing others' needs. According to Jung, narcissism is not real power. It's armor, a defense against deep shame and emotional pain, an inner child that never healed. And this is where empaths gain the upper hand. Because when an empath begins integrating their shadow, reclaiming the parts they were taught to suppress, they step into true power. Not a mask, not ego, but embodied authentic strength. Jung believed that empaths are feeling function, dominant, meaning they lead with emotion, intuition, and inner values. This isn't weakness. It's a rare and powerful intelligence. But here's the part that changes everything. Empaths carry the shadow of suppressed anger. Yes, anger. You've probably been told it's wrong to feel angry. But Jung discovered that healthy anger is what protects your boundaries. It says, "This is where I end and you begin." When empaths reclaim their right to feel and express anger in a conscious way, they become energetically off-limits to narcissists. There's another step, and it's even deeper. Jung taught that every human has the capacity for manipulation, cruelty, and self-interest. When an empath admits this within themselves, not to act on it, but to acknowledge it, they gain what Jung called psychological immunity. They can see manipulation coming from miles away and aren't triggered by it. And this leads us to the transformational moment Jung referred to as enantiodromia, the turning point where one thing becomes its opposite. For empaths, it's the moment they realize this truth. I am not responsible for how other people feel. Simple, maybe, but for empaths, this is revolutionary. You've likely spent your life carrying the emotions of everyone around you, their pain, their drama, their expectations. Jung called this unconscious guilt, and narcissists feed on it. They sense that you'll feel bad if they hurt. They manipulate that guilt. But when you realize you're not the emotional caretaker of the world, something profound shifts. Jung described this as the birth of conscious compassion. You still care, but now you choose when, where, and how to give your energy. You stop reacting and start responding. You build what Jung called psychological boundaries, not walls, but intelligent filters. You let in truth and love. You keep out manipulation and emotional leeching. And narcissists? They don't know what to do with this new you. They lose interest, Because you're no longer providing what Jung called narcissistic supply, that emotional reaction they crave. Instead, you're still kind, still sensitive, but no longer available for exploitation. Let's get practical. Carl Jung taught specific tools to help people integrate their shadow and reclaim power. Here are 4 you can start using today. 1. The mirror technique. Whenever someone triggers you, ask, what part of me does this reflect? It doesn't mean you're like them, it means you're acknowledging a hidden part of yourself. 2. The withdrawal of projection. When you find yourself thinking, if only they'd change, I'd be okay, turn inward. Ask, what inside me needs to change? 3. The sacred no. Saying no is not selfish. It's sacred. It makes space for your authentic yes. 4. Emotional aikido. Instead of absorbing others' emotions, learn to observe and redirect them. You can feel deeply without carrying what isn't yours. These aren't surface techniques. They create what Jung called permanent psychological restructuring. This is why integrated empaths stop attracting narcissists altogether. Carl Jung called these individuals wounded healers, those who have transformed their suffering into strength. And they share 3 powerful traits. 1. Conscious empathy. They choose when to feel deeply and when to step back. 2. Emotional sovereignty. They know where they end and others begin. 3. Authentic power. They don't dominate, but radiate strength from within. But Jung also warned, the path isn't easy. Shadow integration often involves a dark night of the soul, a period where everything you believed about yourself begins to unravel. You may feel selfish for setting boundaries. You might question your identity. If I'm not constantly helping others, who am I? This discomfort is not failure, it's transformation. You're shedding the false self built on people-pleasing, and you're becoming real. Jung said that this shift brings psychological wisdom, the ability to hold space for others without losing yourself. And that's the heart of it all. The final transformation Jung described is called individuation. It's the process of becoming your truest self, not who you were told to be, but who you actually are. An individuated empath is no longer reactive, no longer dependent on others' validation. They're rooted, whole, awake. Jung called them psychological lighthouses. They don't chase. They don't preach. They simply shine. Narcissists don't know how to feed off this kind of presence because it reflects nothing back to them. There's no opening, no projection, no supply. This is what makes you psychologically invisible to toxic people, not because you hide your light, but because your light is no longer available for misuse. Carl Jung believed that this kind of inner transformation doesn't just heal the individual, it helps heal humanity. He taught that every person who integrates their shadow helps shift the collective unconscious, the shared psychic field of humanity. And narcissism? It's not just personal, it's cultural. We live in a society that worships image over substance, success over truth, performance over connection. When you, as an empath, reclaim your authentic power, you're helping rewrite the story. Jung said that integrated empaths become holders of the light. Not fragile, not naive, but grounded, resilient, and wise. They feel deeply, love truthfully, and protect themselves without apology. And as more empaths do this work, a ripple effect begins. What Jung called morphic resonance, a psychological field that makes healing more accessible for others. So if you're an empath wondering whether you can ever stop being a magnet for narcissists, the answer is yes, absolutely yes, but not by becoming hard, by becoming whole, not by shutting down, by waking up. You are not broken. You are not too much. You are not weak. You are an empath. And your journey to becoming immune to manipulation starts with embracing your truth, reclaiming your power, and integrating your shadow. As Carl Jung said, the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. And when you do, narcissists won't be able to touch you, not because you're cold, but because you're finally real,